Hey, I'm Tom, and this is something I've written before. So I called it Why I Game, inspired by the topic we did for Hitchhiker's Guide to Gaming. I'm going to read it straight off from what I wrote before. I think I was just waiting to do something, and I just started writing. So I'm just going to read it, hopefully word for word. I consider myself to be of average intelligence. However, if you've spoken to me, or interacted with me, or know much about me, I'm sure you have your own idea on this. Now, the reason I play games in my free time is that I enjoy them, and there are so many things that you can do with one piece of content. First games I played that I remember, Crash Bandicoot 3 and Metal Gear Solid. Given that as of right now, I've just turned 25, it's clear I was not old enough to play Metal Gear Solid on release, but that didn't stop me. Through these games, I encountered two very different ways of telling a story. On the one hand, you have a predetermined hero who has already proven himself on the battlefield, with long cutscenes and a deep story. With the other, you have a game that's full of whimsy and fun, bright colours, and occasionally tricky sections. Story is amusing, simple, and works incredibly well, especially for a gaming format. Now I can play through each of these games, and I have done multiple times, in many different ways, and have different experiences each time I play them. I've been playing through one of them recently, actually, quite a lot. It's Crash, obviously. Why would it be Metal Gear Solid? Now let's look at my track record with other media. We'll start with two TV shows, House and 30 Rock. Two very different shows, I'm sure you'll agree. One I can watch repeatedly, whereas the other holds no interest for me to re-watch anything. I can watch 30 Rock repeatedly, but House, no I can't. I know the outcome, there's no intrigue there for me to spend time watching it again. But 30 Rock, there are many jokes there and little quirks that can be understood on different watches through, but the jokes are still funny every time you see them. However, with House, I feel I don't forget the diagnosis and how they get there, because it's so systematic. I guess it's a symbol that it's well written for what it is, but I can't watch it more than once. So we got to films. Let's take three films. Inception, Princess Mononoke, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I've seen Inception, and I don't want to see it again. Not because it's a bad movie, but because all the quirks to it that I think were significant I noticed the first time I watched it, but it didn't make me feel anything. I'll go for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon next. It makes me in awe of the choreography. The story's good, the choreography is mind-blowingly good, so I'll happily rewatch that just to see the intricacies of the fight scenes. And then Princess Mononoke, my favourite film of all time. It's got this balance to it of the good characters not being completely good and the bad characters not being truly evil. It's intriguing, and depending on the mindset you watch that film in, you can get slightly different experiences every time you watch it. I must have watched that film over 20 times, and I still watch it relatively frequently for a movie. If I pick up a film more than once a year, that's definitely more frequently than other films. Now I'll move on to modern games. This year I played The Last of Us. Why would I replay it though? I know the story, I know how it ends, I know where the enemies are going to be, I know that I play in a certain way. If I were to play it again, I'd probably play it the exact same way, spend upgrade points the exact same way, because that game you can go through and the story is going to build in the same way. You're going to get the same cutscenes. Whereas Skyrim, for example, you can go different ways. There are different ways to progress through the game. Ultimately, the main quest lines and the final quest, should we say, are the same. However, getting to those resolutions really is ultimately up to how you play. So I played my first playthrough as a destruction mage, casting fireballs and things like that. And that was fun. That's how I liked to play it. But I went back to it recently. I'm still playing through it right now, and I'm using a lot more melee combat. I'm using a lot more one-handed swords, and then keeping my offhand for spells as well, so try and maximise the damage output as well, rather than defending, because I can attack from long range and then get in place and stab, so that's fun. And then there's Dark Souls. It's a game for me. You can customise everything. It's a puzzle, it's a challenge. There's multiple ways to go through it, there's very few cutscenes, and there's different approaches to everything you want to try. I love that game. It might be my favourite game of all time, but I don't think it is. Only because I didn't really experience the online side of the game as much as other people had and said that it was fantastic. Probably experiencing that would be great. My favourite game is Time Splitters 2, but that's a whole different story. I'll get into that some other point. I'm just going to wrap it up. I just game because there's a variety of different things. I experience things in different ways, and yeah, games captivate my attention more so than TV shows, especially as there's the ability to go through something again and experience it differently. Thanks for watching. Peace.